This is Coffee and Content. Thank you so much for joining me. I'd love to hear where you're watching from today, so let me know in the chat. And speaking of chat, I spoke to Sam about this yesterday on the video and live streaming show, but I think it's really worth sharing with everybody here as well. So let's have a look. So this is from the Nielsen Norman Group, and this is the 99-1 rule for participation inequality in social media and online communities. And yes, that is a mouthful, but I think this is important to keep in mind for everybody, but I think especially content creators. So the summary reads, in most online communities, 90% of users are lurkers who never contribute, 9% of users contribute a little, and 1% of users account for almost all of the action. That's really, really important to keep in mind. And if I scroll down a little bit, they do have this wonderful graphic. So I think it's really important that you don't always know who's watching. You don't know who's reading your content. If they don't actually interact with it, you're probably not going to see a notification. And it's funny how often people in the wild will be following really closely and they won't say anything at all online. And then you see them at a coffee shop and they just casually mention something that you've posted. They reference it. They joke about it. It happens all the time. And it blows my mind sometimes because I'm genuinely convinced some weeks that nobody sees anything I do. But the truth is that's not true. So I think it's really important, to keep this in mind. So I guess looking at this chart, setting those expectations that especially when you're beginning, you're probably not going to get a lot of feedback. But two, it's really not that difficult to be in this top 10%. Whether you're in that 1% of heavy contributors or whether you're in that 9% of intermittent contributors, that's an opportunity. You could, I think in some ways we feel as content creators that, there's just too much out there on the internet, and there really isn't. Like a very, very small percentage of the population is actually doing the content creation. And we know that's because it requires work, it requires skill, it requires effort. And especially in the last few weeks when everybody's been losing their mind about AI tools, I think despite all of that, or maybe even because of that, 2023 might be a really good year for people that are actually using their own voice and writing their own things and expressing things that they genuinely care about, when a lot of other people won't be. They will be phoning it in the worst kind of way with the worst kind of AI tools.